Nequitus cursus, or Al Crofton's disease, is a syndrome in which the individual is unable to walk. It leaves the individual capable only of running. Al Crofton is able to become stationary. However, the slightest step immediately becomes a sprint.
Like the albino zebra of the African savanna, Al Crofton, the namesake of the disease, is the only one of his kind.
You know, this is as it's always been. I can't remember a time when I could walk. It's really always been running. I guess that's why Speed is my favorite movie. It's so relatable, and Keanu Reeves is a distant cousin of mine. I guess it has its advantages. I am the holder of the J. Hopkins middle school track record, which is pretty great.
But like that of a coin, there is a dark underbelly to this tale.
Everyday life is hard. I can get by with some help, but I frequently run into difficulty. For example, I have to leave all the doors in my house open so I don't run into them. Something as simple as making a sandwich can be really difficult. And I can't even live on the second floor. I can never be the second person to get into bed. I never liked arts and crafts. They always told us not to run with scissors. On top of that, I always have difficulty with running into people. Funny story though, that's how I met Rosemary.
Rosemary Valdez, the oasis in his desert of a life.
It can be very difficult sometimes, like this. But he can be really sweet. Like the time he chased a flower truck down the freeway because our car broke down, just to get me flowers so that I would feel better about us missing our flight. I know he tries, and it's not his fault, but it's not my fault either. It can be very frustrating sometimes. Oh hey, Al, I meant to tell you a few days ago, but Speed is playing at the local Megaplex.
Wait, when?
Let me check my watch. Oh, it just started. I'm sorry. Al, what the hell? Look at this mess.
A wise poet once said,
I don't need
every
your help. You're the
rose
one who needs help.
has its thorn.
You know it's not my fault.
Bret Michaels.
Let me make it up to you.
I don't need you to make it up to me. Just take a walk.
His heart breaks.
You know I can't.
Al Crofton
Al, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean it that way, Al.
is once again
Damn you, curses, also known as Al Crofton's disease.
alone.
We've performed extensive research on this syndrome. However, no cure or development has ever been made on this terrible, terrible disease. No one knows whether Al Crofton's disease is psychological or physiological, but one thing is for certain: Al Crofton suffers from it every day.
Sometimes I wish I didn't have this disease. I often wonder what walking would be like.
Al Crofton will never comprehend the true intimacy of taking a stroll through the park.
These things are hard to hear, you know? Don't run with scissors, go walk the dog. I guess it's just something I'll have to live with.
Hasn't he ever heard of a walker?
This guy's tiring me. He really needs to get a wheelchair or something. Hey.
Alas, like a runaway bus speeding through the night, driven by Al Crofton's distant cousin, Keanu Reeves, Al Crofton's terrible affliction has saved the day. In his fury to return to his love, he has run down the one thing that might have destroyed it.
I love him. And I'm starting to come to terms with his shortcomings. I mean, who else would be crazy enough to run down a cat burglar?
Well, I can only imagine a life with walking in it. But I can't imagine a life without Rosemary.
Like the albino zebra of the African savannah, Al Crofton is truly one in a million.